our Bhagavad Gita verses. We've been learning some Bhagavad Gita verses. You may not be familiar with some of them since it's your first time, but the words are going to be here, so just do your best to read what we have on the screen, and in a few weeks, you will find it more and more familiar, okay? So don't worry in case it's a little challenging right now, okay?
Okay.
We are going to do Bhagavad Gita verses, and then we're going to have a story about Lord Ram, okay?
Okay.
So let's get started. We will start with our opening prayers. Okay, let's say this all together, everyone. Just give me 1 second right here. Okay, let's start. Om Jnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda
Hare
Krishna Hare
Hare
Krishna Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Rama
Rama,
Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama,
Rama Rama
Rama
Hare
Rama,
Hare. All right. Oh, here we go. Okay. So again, like how we've been doing, we're going to go through whatever verses we have learned about so far. Okay. So all together, if you can all unmute your mics, we're going to start by reciting the verses all together. Okay. You can say it by memory, or you can look up over here. The verse will be here, and the translation will be here too. All right, let's start. Dhritarashtra uvacha Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samavedayatava Makapadasa Sanjaya. Dhritarashtra said, O Sanjay, after my sons and
sons
sons
of
of
Pandu
Pandu
assembled in the place of pilgrimage
at
at
Kurukshetra,
Kurukshetra, desiring
desiring
to
to
fight.
fight.
What did they do?
Here's a picture to remind us about this verse, okay? Can anyone tell us one sentence about what is happening here? Any volunteers? You can raise your hand. Let me see if anyone's raising their hands. Would anyone like to tell us about what's happening in this verse? Dhruv, go ahead.
Listen.
Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjaya what is happening on the battlefield.
Excellent. Yes, very good. Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay. This is a picture of Dhritarashtra, and he's asking Sanjay right here to tell him what is happening on the battlefield. Okay, next verse. Everyone all together, please. Karpan dosho vahata svabhava Krishnan tvam dharma samudha cheta Yadchitam bruhitam me Shishyaste dharmadhamam tvam prakam. Wonderful. Translation. Now I'm about
My duty and have
have
lost
lost
all
all
composure
composure
because of
because of
miserliness.
miserliness.
In
In
this
this
condition, I am
condition, I
asking
am
you to
asking
tell
you
me
to tell me for
for
certain
certain what is
best
best
for
for
me.
me. Now
Now
I
I
am
am your
your
disciple
disciple
and a
and
soul surrendered unto
surrendered
you.
unto you.
Please instruct
Please
me.
instruct me.
All right, any volunteers to tell us what's happening in this verse? Can raise your hand. Ashi?
Arjuna's asking what to do on the battlefield, asking Krishna.
Excellent. Arjuna is confused about what to do. He's seeing all of his friends and family on the other side of the battlefield, and he is confused about whether he should fight or not. And here's a picture to remind us of that. Here's Krishna right here, and this is Arjuna. He's turning to Krishna and asking him, "What do I do? Tell me." And you can see behind them, there's just rows and rows of soldiers and armies. Okay, next verse here. Shri Bhagavanuvacha
The Supreme
Translation?
Personality of the Supreme.
Here,
Godhead
let's start
said,
again. Let's start again so we're all together. All right, and let's go. The
the
Supreme
Supreme
Personality
Personality
of
of
Godhead
Godhead said, while
While
speaking
learned
learned,
or
or
mourning
mourning is
is
not
not
worthy
worthy
of
of
grief.
grief.
Please,
Those who are
those who
wise
are
are
meant
meant
neither
neither
for
for
the
the
living nor the dead.
nor for the dead. Wonderful. And another volunteer to tell us what is happening here. You can raise your hand. Let me see if I can find someone who has not said anything yet. Latisha?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said while speaking learned words, "You are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead."
Thank you, Atisha. How about a volunteer to tell us what was going on in this verse? What is happening? Summarize the verse for us.
Me?
Go ahead, Swara.
Um, they're usually they're talking about if those who were wise and and kind-hearted are for the living nor for the dead.
Okay, thank you for trying. So let me remind you about this verse. In this verse, Krishna is talking about he's introducing. Oops, one second. There we go. He's introducing to Arjuna the fact that we are the soul. We're the soul in the body, and therefore anyone who knows this um, does not lament for the living or for the dead because they know that there's a soul in the body who actually does not ever die.
You're muted. Muted.
Can you hear me?
You just muted at in between. I
Oh.
couldn't hear you as well.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, let me repeat myself, okay? So in this verse, Krishna is telling Arjuna, he's beginning to tell him about how everyone has a soul. Everyone is the soul in the body. And it's only the body that's changing when death happens. So he's beginning to tell Arjuna this, that the wise who understand that there's a soul within everyone's body, and they are actually not dying. It's only the body that dies. They do not lament for whoever is living or for whoever dies. And like in this picture right here, you see there are different people here. There's someone here who has died. There's someone here who's, sad about this person passing away. There's someone here who's in pain, right? And then here we have the wise person, the wise devotee of the Lord who understands that within all of these people's hearts, there's a soul in the body who's actually giving life to the body. And once that soul leaves the body, that's what we call death. Okay, let's go to the next verse. Again, let's say this all together. Natvevaham tatunasam nasam me nanadipa na chaitana bhavishyamaha sarve vayam atah param. Translation altogether. Never was there a time when
Never
I did
was there
not
time I did not
Exist.
exist.
Not
nor you,
Nor you,
nor all these
nor
kings,
all these kings.
nor in the
So in the
future shall
future,
any of
any of
us.
us cease to be.
All right. So here again, Krishna is continuing to talk about the soul, right? And he's telling Arjuna how there was never a time when none of us existed. We've always existed as the soul. We're eternal, okay? We pass through different bodies, different lives as the soul, but we are not this body. We are the soul and we are eternal. And there was never a time where we did not exist. So Arjuna is telling Krishna, Krishna is telling Arjuna about this. All right, let's say this all together. Ready? Tehinosmin
Desino
yate
ya
Omanam
Oman
yoganam jara Tatat
ta
Diyastadam.
Tanam
All right, thank you. Translation all together. As the
the
embodied
embodied soul
continuously
continuously
passes
passes
in
in
the
the
body
body
from
from
boyhood to
boyhood
youth,
to
the
old age. The soul
soul
similarly
similarly passes
passes
into
into
another
another
body
body
at
at
death.
death.
A
A
sober person
sober
is
person
not bewildered at
will
such a change.
as a tree.
All right, here Krishna is continuing to talk about the soul and how the soul moves from one body to another, and even within the same body, um, while the soul is in the same body, that body changes. So Krishna is using that example to show how when the soul leaves this body, it goes to another body. And here is a picture we see here. Let's start with, okay, right here, you see how the soul goes into the heart of this, or the soul takes on the form of this little infant right here in the womb, right? And then this body is born, grows into a toddler, into an goes to school, gets bigger, becomes a teenager, young adult, now a full-grown adult, and then older person, older, and finally, when the body is old and not able to be not functional anymore, then the soul at that point passes away from that body.
I think
Body dies.
no,
Okay? But throughout all these changes, it's the same soul.
yeah.
The same soul. We are the soul, okay? And throughout all these changes, we remain the same soul, but our bodies are the ones that change. And so similarly, at the end of this life, the soul goes to a new body. Okay?
Really
Now,
sad.
next verse, let's say this one all together, okay? You can unmute yourself and let's go. Matra sparsha
Matras
dukkata agama payunas samstitikshasva. Right. Translation together. O Sun,
come to
The
learn
non-permanent
appearance
appearance
of
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 happiness and
happiness
distress,
and
and
distress.
distress
Yeah,
in due course are like
like
appearance and disappearance
winter and summer season.
they arise
Why
as perceptions.
separate?
O signs of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them
And
without
without
being
being
disturbed.
disturbed.
Okay, can we have a volunteer to summarize this verse for us? Tell us what's happening here. Let's see. Okay, Dhruv again, would you like to go? Oh, I see Ansh. Let's call someone who hasn't gone yet. Ansh, please tell us.
Okay, so here Krishna is saying that happiness and distress disappear just like the winter and summer seasons, and they arise because of our senses, which means they come from our senses, and we need to learn how to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Excellent. Thank you, Ansh. Yeah, happiness and distress in this world, happiness or sadness, they come and go, just like the winter and the summer, right? Every year we have a winter and then we have a summer. Winter again, summer again. So it's always going through this cycle of happiness. Similarly, we also go through this cycle of happiness and distress. Sometimes we're sad, sometimes we're happy, sometimes good things happen, sometimes bad things happen, right? Krishna is saying that this happens in this world, and it happens, we perceive it through our senses, okay? And we exactly should learn to tolerate that without being disturbed. And here is a little picture here to show us the differences in the seasons, right? In the summer, during the spring, all the trees begin to get their leaves. During the winter, they all fall away and the trees are left bare. Similarly, up here, we have someone who's sad and then some people who are happy, right? But a sober person does not become disturbed by these changes. Okay, next verse. All together. Let's unmute and say it all together. न जायते Wonderful. Okay, translation. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, never existing, primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. All right. So Krishna here is describing to Arjuna about the soul. The soul is eternal, right? Ever existing, and he's not slain. Means he doesn't become destroyed. He or she, the soul doesn't destroy when the body gets destroyed. Okay. And let me see, so here's a picture of the soul here. And I remember you all learned something about the soul, which is really interesting. Do you all remember how the size of the soul? Can someone tell me? I see Anmay. Please tell us.
It's 1/10,000th of the upper point of the hair.
Yeah, 1/10,000th, the tip of the hair. So I've seen you all had a look at the tip of your hair, right? And then you were envisioning how small that could be, right? So when you cut that tip of the hair into 10,000 pieces, one of those pieces will be the size of the soul. So in other words, very, very tiny, right? But here, the soul here is shown bigger in the picture so that we can see it. Here's a soul. And then if you see here, in all these different body shapes, body forms, the soul remains the same. And the soul is existing throughout. And you see this person right here who it looks like this person has passed away. The soul is not destroyed. The soul just moves on to another body. Okay. All together again. Rasam Siji Okay. As a person puts on new
garments,
giving up old ones, the soul
similarly accepts
new
new
material
material
body,
body,
giving
giving
up
up
old
the old
and
and
new
ones.
Okay. Here's a picture to remind us of this verse as well. So just as when we, when our clothes get dirty or they get ruined, we take it off, we put another pair of clothes on, and we dispose of the other pair of clothes that can't be used anymore. So the same way, the soul goes through a body, right? And when the body cannot be used anymore, when it becomes old and becomes hard to live in, to function with, the soul eventually leaves the body and goes into a new body to start a new life. Just like when we take off our clothes and put on a new one. Okay. And I think this is today's verse. Okay. So today's verse, we will discuss a little bit about it once we recite it. Okay. So I'll say one word and then you repeat after me. And then we'll go through the line, and then we'll go through 2 lines all together. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. And you can unmute if you would like, okay? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad
Tasmad
Apariharye.
Apariharye
Apariharye.
Apariharye.
Hold on one second. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to combine these two words right here. It'll be easier for us. Okay, once again. Apariharyerte. Okay?
Apariharye.
Excellent. One more time. Apariharyerte.
Apariharye. Apariharye.
Na
Na
tvam
Swam
shochitum
Suchitam
arhasi.
Arhasi.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, now I will say one line, and then you all will repeat it 3 times. Okay? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur. Your turn.
Saya
Jatasyahi Dhruvam Mritya
Saya
Jatasyahi Dhruvam Mritya
Dear
Jatasyahi
Good. Okay. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Now your turn. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Dhruvam janma mritasya. Dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Good. Tasmad apariharyete. Now your turn. Apariharyete. Tasmad
Tasmatapariharayete
Tasmad
Tasmatapariharayete
All right. Natvam shochitum arhasi. Your turn. Natvam shochitum arhasi. Natvam shochitum arhasi. Natvam
Natam
shochitum arhasi.
Shakti
Oh, very good. Okay, I'm gonna say the line again, and then we're gonna say it. Actually, I'm going to say 2 of the lines, and then we're gonna repeat those 2 lines. Okay? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha. All right, now your turn. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Again. Jatasya dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha. More time. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha. Tasmad apariharyete natvam shochitumarhasi. Now your turn. Tasmad apariharyete natvam shochitumarhasi. Again. Tasmad apariharyete natvam shochitumarhasi. More time. Tasmad apariharyete natvam shochitumarhasi. Very nice. Let's say it all together. Let's say the whole thing all together. I will say it once though, all by myself, and then we'll all say it together, okay? Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyete natvam shochitumarhasi. Okay, now let's try all together. Jatasya hi dhruvo mrityur Dhruvam janma mritasya
Tasya cha
tasmat
tasmadapariha
natam shochitumarhasi. Let's try one more time, and this time I want everyone to unmute and say it all together, okay? Ready? Okay. Yatasya hi dhruvam janma mritasya Wonderful. All right. Let's have a volunteer to say the Sanskrit over here. Does anyone would anyone like to say it? Okay, Dhruv and Dhwani, would you like to go together? Okay, go ahead. You're muted. There we go.
One who has taken his birth, who certainly Dhruva, a fact,
Oh,
Mrityu, death.
Dhwani and Dhruv,
Where is?
would you like to say the verse right here?
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah.
Dhruvo mrityur dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmad apariharyeti na tvam shoshitamarhasi.
Excellent. Thank you. We'll take one more volunteer. Would anyone else like to try? You can raise your hand so I can see. Okay, I see Chaitanya, what was your name again?
My name is Satya.
Satya, go ahead.
Tatsaya hiduvo there.
You're muted, Satya. Let's see. There you go. Yeah.
Okay. Tatsaya hiduvo there. Dhruvam jangamatu cha tasmad aparihye arte datvam zotitam arasi.
Excellent. Thank you. Very good job. Okay, let's go over here. Let's say these synonyms here all together, okay? Here are the Sanskrit words and then the exact translation in English. Let's say this all together. Jatasya, one who has taken his birth. He certainly dhruva mrityu death dhruvam. It is also a fact. Janma birth, mritasya of the dead, cha also, tasmat therefore, pariharye of that which is unavoidable, arte in the matter, na do not, tvam you, shochitum to lament, arhasi. Right. Let's say the translation all together. Please unmute and let's say it all together. One who has is sure to die death unavoidable lament. Wonderful. Can we have one or two volunteers to say the translation?
I don't think I can say.
Okay, I see. Now your name here is Patanjali Sharma, but I know that's probably not your name. What is your name?
Ramaya.
Ramaya?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
One who has taken birth in
is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
Lament. Thank you. Nitya, go ahead.
One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
Thank you. Okay. I see a few of you. Would you like to say it as well? Samanyu and Ashi? Okay, go ahead, Samanyu, and then Ashi.
One who has taken birth is sure to die, and after that, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
Thank you. Ashi?
Has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
Thank you. All right, we'll take one more and then we'll move on. Okay, I see. Let me see. Someone who has not gone yet. Arnav, go ahead.
One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after death, one is sure to take birth. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty, you should not lament.
I'm sorry, I think we had two going at the same time. Did you both finish?
I did not go.
Arnav. Okay, Arnav, go ahead.
I think that's my cousin's sister. I think she did it at the same time as me.
I see. Okay, okay.
I already finished reading.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Let's discuss about this verse very briefly, and then we'll go to our story, okay? So here Krishna is sort of summarizing whatever he is told to Arjuna so far about the soul, okay? The soul and about birth and death. Krishna is telling Arjuna that one who has been born in this world has to die. And then after death, they get another birth. And remember in your past classes, you learned how you can actually choose what birth you want to take in your next birth. Depending on what you do in this life, you can actually choose, you can make that choice for yourself. So that's pretty cool, actually. But yeah, Krishna is telling Arjuna that if you're born, death is certain. At some point, death happens, and then after death, the soul goes into a new body and has a new life, takes birth again. And so he's saying, in this, knowing this, do your duty, fight this war, and don't lament. Okay? Um, so this is one of the last verses on the soul and the body. And in the next verse that we learn next week, Krishna will be starting to tell Arjuna some other things, okay? Which are also going to be very, very interesting. But yes, here in this verse, Krishna is summarizing whatever he has told Arjuna already about the soul in the body, how we are the body, how we are the soul and we are not this body. And after death, we go to another body. Okay. Let us go to our story. One second, friends. Okay, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
What do you see on my screen?
Krishna.
Nah.
Okay, this is Lord Ram, Lord Ramachandra, okay? We're going to Uri.
I know. I was about to say Lord. I was about to say Ram, but then everyone else said Krishna, and I wanted to say Ram.
Okay, well, yes, this is Lord Ram. Lord Ram is an incarnation of Krishna, you've learned so far that Krishna is the source of all incarnations, right? From Lord Krishna comes Vishnu, and then the incarnations come from Vishnu and Krishna. But Krishna is the source of all incarnations. He's the original personality of Godhead, okay? This is Lord Ram. This is another incarnation of Krishna. And here we have one of his brothers, Lakshman, and then this is his wife, Sita Devi, okay? And this is Hanuman. Hanuman is a really, really amazing personality we'll learn more about in the future, okay? Um, Ramayana is a very long story, so today we're going to just go through it very, very shortly. So if there are any details in this story that you don't hear about, that you know, don't worry, we're going to go through it in detail in a few weeks, okay? But for now, we're going to say the story in a short manner because it's really long, okay? Before I start, Dhruv or Dwani, you have your hand up.
Lord Krishna is the source of all incarnations. How is Lord Krishna one of the avatars, one of the 10 avatars?
Krishna, so the Krishna is not actually in the 10 avatars. That's Balaram. Balaram is one of the 10 incarnations. Krishna is the source of all the incarnations, and then out of the 10 main incarnations, after Lord Ram, the next incarnation will be Balaram, which is another personality you will hear about next week, okay? All right, let's get started with Lord Ram's story. So Lord Ram's story, you may have, oh, before we start, this is a little part of a song about Lord Ram, okay? If you can, we'll say it all together. I'll go slowly and try to read it with me, okay? We're going to sing it. I think you've sung some of these verses before too. It's going to be sung in the same way, okay? And please unmute. Let's sing it all together. Ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Vitarasi Shurane Dikpati Kamaniyam Dashamukhamoli Bale Ramaniyam Rama Sharira Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare. Let's say the translation all together. O Keshava, O
Shiva,
Lord of the
O Lord
universe,
of the universe,
Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Ramachandra, all glories to you. In the battle of Lanka,
you
you destroyed the 10-headed demon
and
Ravana
distributed heads as a delightful offering
as a delightful offering for the presiding king of the 10
He
directions,
was long
headed by
desired by
Indra.
all of them, were much harassed by this
Action was
monstrous
long desired by all of them, who were much harassed by this monster. All right, so this is the story of Lord Ram, and it's going to be very short again for those of you who know the long story. Just to let you know, it's going to be a shorter version today, okay? But we will go through the long version very soon. All right, so it starts off with this great king, Maharaj Dasharat. His name was King Dasharat, and he had 4 sons that were born around the same time. And the oldest one was Lord Ram. Then there was Bharat, and then there were 2 twins named Lakshman and Shatrughna. Okay, these were 4 brothers that were born to Maharaj Dasharat. And Lord Ram and all his brothers, they were very, very sweet and kind-hearted princes. Everyone loved them um, in their in their city. And actually, they were born in this place called Ayodhya, which is still in India. If you go there, you can actually see some places where Lord Ram had his pastimes. Okay, so even though this happened so long ago, there are still some places in India, specifically in Ayodhya, um, about Lord Ram. So if you ever have a chance to go there, please do. But that's where he was born, in Ayodhya. Then, yeah, so Lord Ram, he grows up into this young man, and he eventually goes to Um, there was in those days, they used to have these events called a Swayamvar, where when a king would have a daughter who was ready to get married, he would call many, many different kings and princes, and he would have different, what do you call it? Almost like competitions to see who would be the best match for his daughter. So this was the Swayamvar of Sita Devi. Sita Devi was ready to get married. So Lord Ram went to this event and he broke this very, very huge bow, which no one could even lift. It was so heavy. The task was to lift the bow and string it. Um, Take the string and put it from one side to the other. So all the kings who were there in that event, in that Swayamvar, they couldn't lift the bow. They couldn't even move it. But Lord Ram, he lifted it, and not only lifted it, but he strung the bow. And as he was stringing it,
And
he
he
bent
broke
it so
it?
much that he broke it. Yes, he broke it. And yes, Sora, you have your hand up?
Yeah, well, he usually did. Well, some of the people who was trying to break it didn't do this because they weren't because it belongs to to I forgot.
Lord Shiva. Yeah, this bow
Yeah.
belonged to Lord
Oh
Shiva.
yes.
Yeah, these are details, and I know many of you know a lot of details of Lord Ram's
Yeah.
story.
Lord
Very
Shiva.
long story. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. That was Lord Shiva's bow, actually, a very powerful bow. I'll take some, questions or comments at the end, but let's go through the story first, okay? For whoever might not have heard it. And if there's any details again that are missing, um, please bear with me, okay? Because we have a short time, so I have to say it quickly. So yeah, so Lord Ram, he broke the bow. No one could even lift it, but he broke the bow. Not only did he lift it, but he strung it and he broke it. And then, so Sita's father, he thought, yes, this is the one. This is the person who can marry my daughter. So Lord Ram had a wedding, right, with Sita Devi. And at the same time, his brothers also got married. And then Lord Ram was becoming of age to rule the kingdom, rule the whole town of Ayodhya. So a whole event was being prepared for Ram's coronation, for him to be the new king. So Dasarath was going to give him the whole city of Ayodhya to rule. Okay? But something happened. One of Lord Ram's stepmothers, Kaikeyi, she had one servant who um, gave her some bad ideas. The servant was telling her that you should make sure that your son Bharat becomes king. Don't let Ram become king, because if Ram becomes king, then you will have nowhere to go. You won't be taken care of. Of course, this was a very wrong opinion because Lord Ram was a very, very kind, very responsible um, person, and he would definitely take care of everyone. He loves his devotees, he loves everyone. But this person, Kaike's servant, didn't have good ideas. So, but somehow or other, Kaike was convinced, and so she went to Dasarath and she persuaded him to make her son king and to send Ram to the forest for 14 years. That's a long time. So Lord Ram, being the responsible and very obedient son, he agreed. He said, "Whatever makes you happy, I will go, no problem." And as he was preparing to leave, his one of his brothers, Lakshman, he loved Ram so much. He never wanted to be away from Ram. So he said, "Ram, I want to come with you. I can't stay here by myself." And finally, after so much of persuasion, Lord Ram said, "Okay, you can come with me." And at the same time, his wife, Sita, she also didn't want to stay in Ayodhya without Ram. And finally, after so much persuasion, Lord Ram agreed to take her also. So all three of them, they were getting ready to leave for the forest for 14 years. And they would only be able to come back after that. Okay? So everyone, of course, was so sad in Ayodhya because everyone loved Lord Ram and everyone was so excited for him to be king because they knew he would be a great king and they were so happy that they could be in his kingdom. But now that Lord Ram was going to go for 14 years, everyone was so sad. The whole town just became one sad town. Okay. And over here, in this picture right here, we have Ram and Sita and Lakshman. This is just a little picture of how their life was in the forest. So this is some time has passed. They went to the forest, they left Ayodhya. Everyone in Ayodhya is still sad. And Ram, Sita, and Lakshman, they're just, they're figuring out their life in the forest. So they're doing, they built a little shelter. They're collecting food from different trees, berries, and whatever they can find. And after some time, once Sita, she noticed a very beautiful golden deer. You've seen a deer before, if you've gone on a hike or maybe on the side of the road.
Me.
Yeah. So
I
deers, they're
did.
very,
I've seen one that's dead.
I've seen lots of dead deer.
yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. So deers are very, very gentle creatures, right? So Sita was attracted to this deer.
And they're
And
so
it was not
cute.
only,
And they're very cute.
they're very cute, they're very gentle. So, and this deer was not an ordinary deer, it was a golden deer. Imagine
Yes.
that beautiful color, right? So Sita told Ram, she said, "Look, that deer. I want that deer. Can you get it for me? Maybe it can be our pet." So Lord Ram, he agreed. He said, "Okay, I'll go and chase after the deer." And anyone who's seen a deer run knows that they run pretty fast, right? So naturally, the deer started to run away, and Lord Ram followed the deer to get the deer and bring it back to Sita. And he left Lakshman. He said, "Lakshman, you protect Sita. Make sure that nothing happens to her." Now, there was a trick in this story, in this part of the story. Do you remember this demon with the 10 heads that you heard of in your last class?
Ravana.
Yes, Ravana. Ravana had 10 heads. Okay, he was very, very um, ferocious demon. He was causing trouble to not only the people on Earth, on this world, but he was also causing trouble to the demigods in, in the heavenly planets. So Ravana,
Took Sita.
he wanted to capture Sita and take her away from Lord Ram. So what he did was he disguised himself as a hermit, as a sage. And he had his uncle who shapeshifted. He turned into a deer, which was this golden deer. And this uncle, in the form of a deer, was meant to take away Ram far, far away from Sita so that Ravana could come and take her away. So the deer was running, running, and running because that was the plan. He ran far away from where they stayed. And Lord Ram was running after, running after. And then finally, the deer made a trick. He started to scream, "Lakshman, save me, save me," in Ram's voice. So that wasn't actually Lord Ram. It was the deer making a trick. He was saying that. He was calling out Lakshman's name. And then Lakshman heard that from all the way back in the near their place where they were staying. And Lakshman he figured out that this is strange. I don't think this is Ram. Ram he's all powerful. Nothing can hurt him. This is probably something fake. But Sita also heard it. And Sita was very worried. She thought, "Oh no, something happened to Lord Ram." And she told Lakshman, "You have to go. You have to go and make sure he's okay." So finally, after so much persuasion, Lakshman left. Lakshman had a feeling that there was nothing wrong. There was some trick. But still, to please Sita, he left. And he went to make sure that Ram was okay. Now Sita was all alone. So Ravana, in the form of a sage, he dressed up as a sage. He made sure he didn't look like Ravana at all, and he came and he kidnapped Sita, took her away from that place while Ram and Lakshman were away. And he had a whole mechanism to get back to his place, his palace, which was called Lanka. Okay? And that was in a island in the ocean. So he had to cross that ocean and he had a flying chariot. So at one point, while he was carrying Sita away in that chariot, if you see this bird right here, this bird's name is Jatayu. Jatayu. He was a very dear devotee of Lord Ram. He knew Lord Ram and he knew how kind and how special Lord Ram was, and he loved Lord Ram. And he noticed that Ravana is carrying someone very special. He's carrying Sita. He's taking her away from Ram. He noticed that. And so immediately he went and he thought, I need to try and stop him. So he went and he confronted Ravana. He said, don't go. I'm going to stop you. And Ravana said, he started to fight him. And they had a very big fight. But finally, because Jatayu was an old bird, so eventually he got tired of fighting. And
And he died?
well, yes, Ravana, he eventually took out his sword and he cut off his wings. So Jatayu ended up falling down to the ground. And then Ravana continued taking Sita all the way to Lanka, his place. Okay? So when Ram came back, and I'm skipping again because this is a long story, but eventually Ram came back to his place and with Lakshman, and Sita wasn't there. And at that point, they knew, okay, someone took Sita, something happened. And so they went all over the forest searching for Sita, searching for Sita, and she couldn't be found anywhere. But what they did come across a whole kingdom of monkeys.
One.
And those monkeys, they decided to help Lord Ram find Sita. So eventually they ended up finding out that Ravana had kidnapped Sita and taken her all the way to Lanka, which is over here, where I'm pointing right here, you see? They had to cross the ocean to get to Lanka, the island. So they actually all built a bridge across the ocean. They put stone by stone and they built this bridge all the way. All the monkeys and Lord Ram and everyone helped. And finally, when that bridge was built, they all marched over to Lanka and they had a big war with Ravana and his army. And eventually, Lord Ram ended up defeating Ravana. There were a lot of complications, but Lord Ram ended up defeating Ravana and he finally got back Sita. And Lord Ram also placed Ravana's brother Vibhishan, which was a very, very saintly person, very kind person. Ravana was not a kind person, he was a demon. And one reason why Lord Ram came to this world was to get rid of Ravana, because Ravana was he was causing a lot of difficulty to the people of the earth and also to the demigods. So they prayed. Remember how when the demigods, when there's something wrong, there's some terrible ruler on the earth, they pray to Lord Vishnu, and then Lord Vishnu, they ask for help. So that's also what happened before Lord Ram was born. So Lord Ram, one of his reasons for taking birth in this on the earth was to get rid of Ravana. So finally, Ravana dies. Lord Ram kills him, and then he takes back Mother Sita, and he puts Vibhishan, which was Ravana's brother, but he wasn't a demon. He was a very, very saintly, very nice person. He put him on the throne to rule Lanka. And then they all finally went back. And that all happened close to the end of the 14 years. Remember how Ram, Lakshman, and Sita went for 14 years for the exile? So that was towards the end of the 14 years. So they finished their exile by that time, and then they headed their way back to Ayodhya. And when they came to Ayodhya, everyone was so happy. They were so happy that after so long, after 14 years, Lord Ram was coming back to Ayodhya. And so they lit lamps, and that's what we do in Diwali. We light lamps in Deepavali, and that was the day that Lord Ram came back to Ayodhya. So the residents of Ayodhya were so happy. They all lit lamps in their homes to welcome Ram back to Ayodhya. So here you see finally they're back in Ayodhya, and Lord Ram is becoming king. He's getting the crown of the king, and he becomes king of Ayodhya. And so that ends the story for now. We'll hear more about Lord Ram's stories in the future, okay?
I have a fact.
Okay, go ahead.
First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Aishman. And
Thank you for joining.
one fact. Wait, what?
I said thank you for being here.
Yeah, so one fact about in the story, I think you didn't mention this when you were skipping. I'm gonna add this. So when Sita's dad was doing that marriage thing, Ravana actually came before Ram and then tried to lift the bow because he wanted Sita to marry him. But then Shivji, he stepped one of his toes on because Shivji was on Mount Everest, so
Sorry, just checking.
yeah. So then basically he put his thumb on the one of his thumbs on the toes on Mount Everest, and then Ravana couldn't lift the bow. But then when Ram came, then Shivji let him lift the bow because he was a good guy.
Yeah, there are many details of this of Lord Ram's pastimes that are there, and we'll learn more about them later. But yeah,
And also,
Janak,
there was
the
also
king
at
of
the
yes,
very end of the almost at the very end of the story, there's basically when before Ram was introduced as king again, he her Ravana's sister named what was her name?
here
Shrupnika. She's
we're actually going to learn more about Ram's story. So for those of us who have not heard the story, let's keep the story to ourselves so that everyone can hear about it when we do go into detail, okay?
okay.
So let's not make any uh let's not ruin the surprise, okay? But yeah, we're definitely going to go through all those details soon. Yeah, there are many, many details. I know some of you might have watched about Lord Ram or read his stories, so there's lots of details in the story that are really, really cool. So stay tuned. We're going to hear about them soon, okay? Does anyone have anything else that you would like to say before we finish today? Let me close this so I can see you all. Here we go. Okay. I see some hands up. Dhruv or Dwani?
I have all 7 books of the Ramayana.
Oh, bye, Ansh. Thank you for joining. Bye, Brinda. Okay, I see some of you are leaving. Yeah, we're about to finish now. It's been an hour.
Aria, is it okay if we could chat or no?
We are about to finish actually, so the chat feature will not be there.
Okay, well, bye.
Okay, well let's finish. Let's finish here then, since it's been an hour. But stay tuned. We are going to hear more about Lord Ram soon. Okay? See you all next week. Thank you for joining.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good rest of your Sunday.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.